brother, my two boys, my sister, and her daughter.
For more than 60 years, Three Saints Bay Orthodox Church has been a part of Walter Stanley's family and picturesque Old Harbor, Alaska, which is set against emerald waters and snow-capped mountains. The church's light blue-colored roof and cupolas overlook this fishing village of more than 200 people on Kodiak Island's southeastern shores. Built in 1952, the worship hall was just over a decade old when a devastating 1964 earthquake struck, and Stanley was only a child when a terrifying tsunami engulfed his entire town that fateful night.
Some days, like Russian Christmas coming up, standing room only in here.
Walter Stanley couldn't tell us much about what some of the symbols inside the church mean, just that it's a place the lifelong Old Harbor resident has worshipped at since he was a child. A place where Alaska's Russian and Alutiiq cultures come together. Built in 1952, Stanley says the worship hall has changed very little since he was a child, even after the devastating quake of '64.
It was like jets taking off when we first heard the wave.
Villagers knew trouble was brewing when the bay between Sitalitic Island and Old Harbor started to recede away from the town at first. They scrambled for cover on the hillside nearby.
It measured at 33 feet.
After the tsunami?
Yeah.
33 feet.
That's how much the tide come in. Our biggest tide used to be 9 foot or 10 foot.
It's almost half the fleet.
The tsunami claimed the life of only one Old Harbor resident that night, a miraculous reality given the amount of destruction it caused. Stanley won't say if he believes in divine intervention, but Three Saints Bay Orthodox Church was the only building left standing after the massive wave receded.
Well, the water was all around the church. Next morning, the caretaker, there was 2 caretakers come in with them. There was a couple candles on the floor, but there was no water in there.
A huge tsunami generated by the tremor.
But what the tsunami didn't take away from Three Saints Bay back in 1964, time has. The church's priest left Old Harbor due to health issues. The congregation is now smaller. Stanley worries the church is facing a tidal wave of another sort, a younger, secular generation of residents.
With the young age coming up, they don't go to church much, younger people. But the older people come to church.
Now a church elder himself, Walter Stanley can't help but to reminisce this time of year. For Simon, Alaska, Adam Pinsker, Channel 2 News.
Molly Algren, Sitka Volunteer Fire Department, November 30th, 2004. When a firefighter had died in the line of duty, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced a comrade's passing.
At a time where there was so much national attention to Patriot Day, many here in Anchorage paid their respects to Alaskan firefighters who gave their all in the name of honor.
Today we pause on one of the most somber days in America's history to collectively pay tribute, remember, honor, thank, and celebrate the lives of the 30 Alaskans that have perished in the line of duty.
We pause to remember all those who have given their life in service. We pay honor to those today who gave the ultimate sacrifice.
It was a memorial service that centered around Alaskans, but it was one that honored the fallen of 9/11 with a firefighter symbol of its own.
But if you look behind me, there's 2 towers built out of ladders, and that's what 9/11 is all about.
Many say 9/11 is about remembering those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. And even though 12 years have passed, many agree 9/11 gives Americans an identity they still hold today.
I don't think society is forgetting. I think it becomes a part of who we are and a part of what we are. There have been significant events throughout history that may have been forgotten, but I do think they become a part of who we are as a society.
The cool end-of-summer breeze blows along the shores of the Homer Spit. Sunday marks the end of the tourist season in Homer. It's a time for residents to relax and enjoy a decade-long tradition.
There is really no set answer for it. Every person that's here has a different reason for being here.
It's Homer's 10th year of the community art project, The Burning Basket. A creation meant to strengthen neighborhood bonds, an experience that offers personal, reflective healing.
Itself sort of represents the weaving of the landscape around us.
The basket is made from natural materials gathered in Homer, but it also holds much more.
I feel like I also, like them, am taking advantage of a very rare opportunity to come together with the community, to celebrate the creative process, to understand that this art is impermanent. I think heightens people's awareness. It makes them want to be here because they know the sculpture is not going to be here tomorrow.
Mavis Mueller calls herself a migratory artist who brings this burning basket to many different communities across the country. This year's theme, Enjoy, could be seen all throughout the basket's art.
That's mine right here. It's just in an envelope.
Peter was born and raised in Homer, and he says he has always appreciated the remedial power of the burning basket.
It's just an opportunity for you to just write out everything that's bothering you and then just pitch it into the fire and watch it all sort of disappear.
This is Peter's first year to see his part of the basket burn away. A worry he hopes to eternally forget, but a moment he hopes to always remember.
The town of St. Mary's sat in a fog on the night of the fatal plane crash. It kept investigators away on Saturday, but on Sunday the sun rose to a clear sky. At midday, the NTSB touched ground to begin an investigation into the plane crash. Its aftermath could be seen from a distance. Chris Shaver, the on-scene investigator, spent hours at the site.
We're going to be very interested in the survivability aspects of this one. Since we did have some survivors, where were they seated? How was that part of the airplane damaged?
Many people here in St. Mary's recall the night of the crash well, as so many were there searching for the wreckage.
Growing up out here, I've never seen anything of this magnitude. It was something you only see in horror stories.
Gail Alstrom Beans first got word of the crash through a text message. Plane crashed between here and Mountain.
Getting everyone to the actual plane was difficult because we had to climb over the trash piles at the dump and then walk through the trees down the hill to the site.
The plane was located within 30 minutes of going down. Even the town's mayor came out to help.
My reaction was just looking at the plane. I said, God, I hope I hope there's survivors on this aircraft.
The neighboring town of Mountain Village sent cars and many more helping hands.
When I started getting worried that we were going to run out of, blankets or stretchers or backboards, a new wave of stuff would come.
Although the towns near the crash are small, the reaction to this terrible tragedy came quickly for survivors.
It's a way of life that dates back more than 2,000 years.
The dances and the songs tell the stories.
The stories of Point Hope, an Inupiaq village of less than 700 residents, located 200 miles north of the Arctic Circle. A spit of land said to be the longest continuously inhabited area in North America.
We've been right here, hunting, gathering, dancing, singing. For thousands of years, the history is here.
For more than 2,500 years, several different settlements on the northwestern edge of Alaska have called this land home, taking advantage of its abundant resources.
The seal, the beluga, the walrus, This is our way of living. This is the way we feed our communities.
All are vital to the survival of the Inupiaq in a subsistence way of life. But the bowhead whale is among the most important.
The whale is our identity as a people. You know, it makes us who we are.
Identity and a strong traditional and cultural presence in Alaska for centuries.
They're our shelter, our clothing, our food, our spirituality as a people. Without the animals, we're nothing.
A spirituality and identity that can be felt and seen just about everywhere. And despite the fact that most of the original village was lost.
97% of the village is out in the ocean. It's eroding.
Strong winds and rough seas pummel the coast daily, claiming the Inupiaq's land. However, those same rough seas also provide for life here. It's a strong bond the community shares and celebrates with the whale.
We celebrate the fact that it gives itself up to us so that we can continue the cycle.
Despite the constant erosion, a few cultural sites remain, like the ceremonial feasting grounds where the residents of Point Hope come together for 3 days every June to celebrate. And there's their whale graveyard, where bowheads' jawbones line the horizon, the larger bones serving as headstones for whaling captains that have passed away.
This is a whale, a sigalok, an ice cellar.
Despite age-old traditions like these, the Inupiaq are also incredibly adaptive, as they rely on earthly provisions for nearly everything, including the permafrost underground. Ice cellars have been carved to store each family's meat.
This was Daryl Frankson's ice cellar, a whaling captain that passed away several years ago.
And cellars are passed down through generations, some hundreds of years old.
Down inside the ice cellar, the walls are lined with hundreds of bowhead whale jawbones. The floor is lined with whale blubber that's dripping fat onto the ground. It's created a pool about a couple inches deep.
Family traditions, culture, experience, and community run deep. The one common denominator they share is the whale. Residents here say decades of commercial whaling during the 1800s drastically reduced the number of bowhead whales and nearly wiped out this community.
The population dropped down to 126 from a population that used to be well over 4,000 people right here in Point Hope.
But tough challenges are something the Inupiaq are used to. Life is a cycle in this deeply rooted native community, and learning to adapt to change is a necessity. There are only a few constants here: tradition, culture, and the whale.
With months of practice and preparations in the books, this year's Iron Dog Pro class is ready for unleashing.
Guys, be safe. We'll see you in
One. Team number 22 is on the Iron Dog trail.
There's over 2,000 miles to the finish, but some racers are most anxious to just get past the first.
Feel good. I feel a lot better here in about 3 minutes when I take off.
Getting there, yeah. I'm excited to finally start this damn thing.
The first stretch lands teams in McGrath. 352 miles of narrow twists and turns keeps the mind focused on survival first, speed second.
Our plan is take it easy on the first day, get to McGrath. Everybody just keep it together today, start racing tomorrow.
On top of the technical trails, teams expect a severe drop in temperature and visibility during their ride.
It's going to throw us a curveball the first day, that's for sure. It's probably 20 degrees here right now, and by the time we get to McGrath, they're expecting 30 below, so you can't dress for both.
We've done everything we can. We've got a winning recipe.
All that's left is hoping the ingredients mix in your favor.